Is this episode 21? Do you know?
I think so.
I think so. Episode 21. If you hear some noises, if you hear some kids, I'm at the beach with my whole family. So I think I have no idea how many kids. It's like 12 or something now running around. So
Holy
there's probably
smokes.
going to be some screams, some random stuff happening. That's going to be all fun and well and cool and all of that. Before we get into anything, can you let us know what happened today in history?
Man, can I ever? Today, man, in history, South Carolina, I pulled this for you. South Carolina becomes the 8th state to ratify the U.S. Constitution in 1788 today. So I thought you would, you'd get some valuable information
As a South
on that.
Carolinian.
And then I got one more. Because you know how people always say Bonnie and Clyde? They're like Bonnie and Clyde, especially rappers. And in 1934, Bonnie and Clyde were killed on this day in Louisiana by police.
What year?
Yeah.
What year?
1934.
1934. R.I.P. Bonnie and Clyde.
Man, that's a big reference. Some people say Bonnie
that
and
is-
Clyde, don't they?
Wow, you're proud of that one, aren't you? That was a great pull.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I pulled both of those.
Wow. It must be nice being that smart.
I'm telling you what, man, I did a lot of research on that. I went to 5 different websites.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, we've got NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, PGA Championship. Lots of fun things happening. But I figured before we jumped into that, let's start off with the Iceman's Unsung Hero. How's that sound?
Ooh, I like that.
All right. So here live to kick it off, we've got Iceman.
What's up, man? How are you?
Dude.
It's happening.
Oh, wait, is Iceman here?
Iceman's right here.
I'm here.
Oh, my goodness. Hold on.
Iceman
happening.
live
Iceman.
in person.
In the words of Bruce Buffer, we are live.
We'll do it live.
Dude, this is arguably a top 4 day in my life.
Wow.
You mean that?
Yeah.
I don't want to know
second,
when that moves down.
I've had a lot of bad days. But Iceman, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, man. And this week's Unsung Hero is John Michael Fail from my alma mater, North Greenville University. John Michael Fail has been the Division II RBI leader at a little over 300. He broke that back in the end of April. But this past week, in regionals for the D2 baseball playoffs, John Michael Fail broke the Division II career home run record with a 3-run walk-off ding-dong.
Way to do it in walk-off fashion.
And that right there, gentlemen, is just beyond impressive. North Greenville's going for the repeat. They won the national title last year. And say whatever you want about Division II. Christian and I will fight you about Division II, Division III.
Yeah.
And but it's incredible what this kid's pulled off. And listen, nothing's to say this kid's going to stop here. So John Michael Fail, here's to you. You are this week's unsung hero because when you're going to break a record, do it in the
walk-off
postseason with a 3-run ding-dong, man.
Sounds like Christian himself right there, the home run
I tell you
leader.
what, man, I've had dreams like that where I like hit a walk-off. Dude, last night, speaking of dreams, I had a dream last night that I played in the PGA Championship.
How'd you do?
I was tied second. It was Brooks Koepka than me in my dream.
Who are you tied with?
Yeah.
No, who were you tied with at the time in the dream?
that's what I'm
Was it
wondering.
Scotty?
I was tied
Or
with, no, it was Harvard.
Vic-
It was literally
okay.
the exact PGA Championship leaderboard. It was just me. I was just there.
Sounds realistic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, should we talk about that? The PGA?
Oh, we should.
Do you want to go there?
Perfect segue.
Because Brooksy, long live golf. I'm standing by that slogan.
It was so poetic.
That's
I'll
what
tell
you want to
man.
see.
That's
That's what the people want.
I was just so happy for him because it takes a lot to go from where he was and to winning another major. Like over a 2-year span, he won 4 majors, which is like unbelievable. And then he didn't win for like 4 years. And then he won the major.
Enter full
yesterday.
swing. I'm the worst. I'm so bad at golf. I'm
He
terrible.
was a drama queen though. He was,
But listen.
he was such a joke.
He wasn't as boring as Scotty, so we're fine.
But the best part of this whole thing is that like Brooks is the one guy that made the jump to live, and he was like, "It's about the money."
Yeah,
He's like, it's about generational wealth. Like my grandkids are going to be set up because I made this move. And say whatever you want about Liv, but the fact that we all knew this was coming, that one of them was going to win a major, and it ends up being the one that PGA's name is literally tied to, is just beautiful in its own right.
Poetic. It's
I'm so excited for all the conversations the PGA is gonna be scrambling.
Oh
yeah,
gosh, dude! I tell you what, that was their worst nightmare. Like that was like, you noticed how much
he almost did it in the Masters.
You noticed how much they focused on Michael Block.
Yeah.
First of all, Michael Block, phenomenal performance, phenomenal.
Drained it.
He knows exactly how far
but
whatever club he grew on 15.
Buckets.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he drew on 15. He's like, it's that exact yardage. It's going in. Let's do it.
Yeah, first of all, for that guy to finish top 15 and to make a hole in one, like that literally is a dream. Like that is something you 100% dream of. But I noticed, like, and it kind of, I don't know how you guys felt, like if you were watching, but when Brooks was coming down the stretch, like the last, 2, 3, 4 holes, like they kept showing Michael Block. And like, I feel like don't get me wrong, phenomenal job with Michael Block, but like, I feel like there's a reason for it, the PGA, because they wanted to keep showing like a PGA pro and not Koepka who's on Liv.
I think you're right.
Absolutely. No,
absolutely.
Well, but to Block's credit, I mean, they're on 15, he turns around to Rory McIlroy and he's like, "Are you kidding?" Like his immediate reaction is just shock and awe when he dunks that ball. So, I mean, I doubt that hitting a hole in one ever would get old, but to do it there, holy cow, man.
And then I was watching, I'm going to disclaimer, it was on in my car as I was driving. I was not watching. I was listening to it very safely, of course. Mm-hmm. Was it him who he sunk a putt on 18 as well? Who was that? Because again, I wasn't watching. I was only listening.
That was him. So he sunk a putt on 18 in order to re-qualify for the PGA. So
okay,
if you're
top 15. That's what I thought was happening.
If you're top 15 in the PGA Championship, you get an automatic invite next year.
Okay. I mean, so.
Well, and I saw on Twitter last night that he's already gotten an invite from somebody else. Like
to the Colonial next week. Yeah. Next week, the Colonial called him and was like, "Hey, we have one more sponsor exemption. We want you to play." And of course, like the whole story at the Colonial, first of all, it's a good tournament, but like a lot of players don't play in it because it's the tournament after a major. And so, of course, they want someone like Michael Block, like, in the tournament. He's thinking it's so much publicity.
I want him to win it so bad.
Yeah, capitalize while he's hot.
Please.
I guarantee.
Bringing the money for
I don't know what the odds. I hate saying this, but I don't know what the odds are. But like, there's no shot he comes close to making the cut. I think he's gonna. I mean, he might shoot like plus eight.
Like if you're giving it a percentage, are you giving it like 12% chance he makes the cut?
Something very low, like probably.
But if
like
he
10%.
does,
yeah.
Who is playing him in the movie? Because like,
a volunteers tribute.
Like what? Crazy. All right, so NBA playoffs.
Oh, Boston sports fan, take the floor.
Yeah. About that.
Boston in 7.
Woof.
Question mark.
The Jimmy Butler effect is
you think he's Michael Jordan's kid?
I think he's Michael Jordan's kid, but that's a
he's
whole
Michael
other
Jordan
day. Do you know about this?
Should we go there? Let's go there.
There's a whole conspiracy theory that Jimmy Butler is Michael Jordan's kid.
Okay, what
he's playing like it. He makes everybody else on the floor better.
Yeah.
So long story short, the conspiracy theory, and somebody's going to be yelling at their radio when they hear this, but is basically that his family was in Chicago at the right time. His mom was. That when he would have been brought into this world, that Michael Jordan could have been his dad. There's like facial similarities. People have done like the side-by-side facial matchup. Y'all can find it. And it's pretty bad. They've done things where like if you shave off Jimmy Butler's hair, like it's pretty crazy. So all that to say is that
I think it's the only thing that makes sense.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Makes sense. I'm about to put on Instagram. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's like that convincing.
Yeah, we'll throw up a picture in the YouTube.
But no, I just
comment if you think that they're similar. At least they're
absolutely right.
Maybe father son.
Poll it.
I don't know.
All I'm saying is this: that Jimmy Butler is playing lights out for one, and two, TD Garden might be cursed. And yes, I'm still angry about the Bruins, so I will die on that hill.
Do you want to say anything else about NBA before we jump to NHL? Because you've got to respond about the Bruins. But do you think that
that's
the Celtics like stand any chance at all? That's the real question.
All I'm saying is if there's a city where you're telling me there's a chance, somebody being down 0-3, there's one thing you have to do in game 3, which they did last night, which is get absolutely blown out. Go watch the 30 for 30. That team got absolutely destroyed in game 3, and they all came out the next day and they're like, hey, just don't let us win tonight.
I think the only
the rest is
point I
history.
can concede that you just said there was that they got absolutely blown out.
No, okay. Okay.
That's about all I
I
can
mean,
get by.
both of these series though, like they're both 3-0. Like it has been such a like non-competitive final or championship round.
Lopsided. Absolutely.
Hopefully,
Yeah, I thought the
that'll set up
Lakers
a
were
good
gonna
final,
win.
maybe. We know.
Yeah.
So who are you pulling for now?
Is that your team now?
Well,
Yeah.
well, no,
It's big Bron
yeah, I have a lot of teams, but I just thought
Right
like,
now it's the
LeBron in
Heat.
playoffs. Stop interrupting me, Joe. I thought I thought LeBron in the playoffs,
yeah.
man. He's just a different. All right, peace. LeBron in the playoffs is just a different animal, and so that's why I just thought. And plus, the experience that he has is just unbelievable. But I also thought the Celtics
One would say like Mario.
Yeah, like Mario.
with the
Like Mario.
so.
Would you
Well, like
agree,
Mario.
Christian? I'm just saying
No,
that
I
some would
disagree.
compare LeBron to a Mario, where you just know he's going to pull it out and win.
Yeah. No matter how much little brother picks Luigi.
I'm telling you what, man. Mario is just gonna pull it out.
Every time.
That was a great
Same with
analogy.
Braun.
It takes some special connections to connect Mario
Yeah,
with LeBron.
thanks for saying that. That was all my big brain that did that.
Yeah.
To Jack Black now,
You're
right?
so
No.
intelligent. Gosh, you're so intelligent. We're gonna look at a Heat and the Nuggets finals. Huh? Who do you think's gonna win that?
Not the NBA, because that viewership is going to be rough.
Yeah.
Sticking with the Heat.
Yeah, they wanted the Lakers
Yeah,
Celtics.
absolutely.
Everybody think,
Oh, I'm sticking with Michael Jordan's son.
Yeah,
yeah, me too.
clip that. So, before we devolve too much, is that a word? Devolve?
Yeah,
Dissolve?
absolutely.
You're a smart guy, tell me. Is it? Okay.
Devolve
anyway.
is a word.
Yeah.
NHL playoffs.
The Chell.
First, heartbreaking. The Canes losing 2 overtime games at home.
Not good.
Not good.
And the
but,
Panthers are a wagon right now.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of momentum to win those. Like, if anything, you would think that the Canes would pull those games out. Like the overtime, you're like, the rest of the playoffs, you're like, if they get to overtime, they're winning.
That's right.
The greatest team.
At least
But
one.
Panthers.
But like game 1 was like the 4th longest NHL playoff game of all time. Like it was very long. So like you go into game 2, everybody's got rubber legs. And then to go to overtime again is just
That's brutal.
yeah. So they're not only exhausted, they are also decimated.
I would love one of those two teams to win it all. But I mean, if you keep playing stuff like this, it's going to be hard to like
yeah.
be fresh in another series. So do you have anything to say about the Bruins? That's all I want to give you the floor. You deserve it.
I appreciate this. I've got a lot to get off my chest right here. A lot of it being that why are we playing injured players down the stretch before the playoffs? I get it. They're hockey players, and hockey players don't like to look weak, but you know it's not weak? Playing with a stress fracture in your foot. Like,
It's also not smart.
you're right. And so there's some serious things that started coming out that you're like, And then during the playoffs, they looked at Patrice Bergeron, who is undoubtedly just captain, my captain. And they're like, hey, Patrice, do you think you should just sit out for game? He was sitting out for a bit, and they're like, do you think you should sit out for game 5? And he looks at the coach, and he's like, I'm playing. And he's like, no. Like, do you think you should sit out? He's like, I'm playing. And
Did
so
I stutter?
I was so torn because like I'm all about like that tough man mentality there, but like clearly guys were playing hurt, and you got to make that call way earlier. The goalie switch should have happened earlier. Just completely mismanaged. It's a shame because the team that was I said it on this podcast, so I'll own it. Team of Destiny vibes.
The league leading Boston Bruins.
It'll forever have an asterisk. Like all the records they did will be locked into the
Correct.
fact that they blew a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, they didn't even make it to the finals.
No, not even close. It's brutal.
I'm debating
Like-
saying it, but someone, when everyone was all on the Bruins hype, was like, I don't know, are they going to be the type of team that has an incredible regular season and then falls in the playoffs early?
It hurts.
Well, Joe's
all I
always
gotta
like
say.
negative Nancy too. Joe, whenever something good happens in sports, Joe is the opposite, right? So if like the Lakers are on fire, they're like, oh, well, LeBron's playing with like a sprained ankle, and like he's not going to make
Maybe
the
I'm-
championship.
maybe I'm just having to balance out bandwagon sea doggy dog. I need a little yin and yang.
You're a little skeptic. You are a little skeptic.
I am a skeptic.
He is very skeptical.
I like a chip on my shoulder.
You'll push back even if there's like no argument to be made, and then you somehow convince me that like you're right, and I'm like, oh wait, how'd I get here?
Being on vacation with the rest of my siblings.
That's true.
I don't come by that, honestly.
As the youngest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom's even said she listens to this podcast and she's like, yeah, I love it. Just sometimes gives me a little PTSD when, you and Christian are going at it and arguing. Feels like I'm at the dinner table again with all of y'all.
Yeah, Joe's got 3 brothers.
Yeah, Joe loves just playing devil's advocate to whatever I say. Like, he could agree with what I say, but then he'll just he'll say something else.
Unreal.
And then we'll talk off camera, and he's like, yeah, no, you're probably right. All right.
No
comment. That's what they teach you to say, right?
So,
let's talk about
how many people are at this beach house?
Too many? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. It's just enough.
Just enough.
Well, we're missing a few. There's a couple of folks. So Joe's brother Bradley and his family are in Senegal, and so we do miss them. So we got to say that. And then Jake and Heather, who've been on the pod.
That's right.
They're
not here.
They're not here as well. And then we're missing
my wife, Caitlin.
Yeah, absolutely. So
the rest of that,
where's
a
Caitlin?
lot of people here. She is in Denver right now. Then has a conference in Vegas
because work things.
Because work. Because
Is she in
she's a
Denver
baller.
for work?
She had a cousin's graduation, and she's actually another person we're missing. My sister-in-law Whitney is at home because she's pregnant, and Caitlin's actually with her right now, so that's fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Whitney's gonna hear this, and I'm gonna get so much flack.
Yeah.
I deserve every bit of that.
Sorry, Whitney. He's not sorry. But speaking of, I had a transition in my head. I've already lost it. Let's talk about you a little bit. Smart man, attorney. Oh, that's right. I said no comment.
No
comment.
comment.
I was asking, would an attorney advise me to say that?
Yeah. Under the advice of counsel, I don't feel that comfortable speaking on that question.
See,
never say I plead the fifth because a lot of times it doesn't apply. Please stop. Let's get that PSA out there. And I'm not that kind of attorney, so that's fair too.
That's good to know, though.
Yeah.
So we have in our presence one of the best D2 kickers of all time, right?
Please do not Google my stats. They were so bad. Maybe a high school superstar.
Yeah, tell us exactly what to look up.
I don't know that I ever actually made a field goal outside of PATs in my college career. And I'm going to own that unless he comes back and he's like, yeah, you did. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, I did.
Anything's upside from there.
No, but it was a blast. Yeah.
What about a high school huddle? What should we go to?
No, there was no high school huddle. I did have there's a film out there of my kickoff song was 3 Little Birds by Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Okay.
Nice.
And it's just always calmed me down right for kickoffs. It was a blast. Went to a small little 1A school in South Carolina. Had a couple of game winners, which is how the nickname Iceman came around.
Oh, you were asking about that.
Yeah.
Because when we started this up, I was like, Trey, you want to... Have we even said that?
No.
Real name Trey.
Real name is Trey. That's totally
I was like,
fair.
Trey, do you want a blogger name?
I've never said that on the podcast.
Yeah, like classic, like Barstool style. You want like a blogger name?
Yeah.
So Iceman Trey.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. I was like, the only time I really ever had a nickname was in high school, and a couple people call me Iceman after a couple of clutch weeks of kicking field goals, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're bringing that back." And I was
like, it's a great name. Great nickname.
Well, and Adam Vinatieri is the true kicking Iceman. Let me be clear. And there's just if there's
but
anybody
you were close.
Anyone.
Yeah, it was real close. I mean, I was like 8 yards away from being at D1.
8 yards away. And I just found this out. Your claim to fame of a kicker that you kicked with.
Oh, yeah.
Share about
couple
that.
Guys. Yeah. So Sam Martin, for one.
Yeah.
Who went to App State, but now punts for the Buffalo Bills.
Sam Martin is one. So I used to play baseball at Ferrum. Our shortstop, that was his cousin, Sam Martin.
Get out. Sam Martin's the man.
I'm feeling left out now.
So Sam and I would go down to Atlanta. I had a coach down there I'd go work with from time to time. And Sam was another guy that had worked with that coach. And I'll never forget going out and kicking with Sam and realizing real quick I wasn't going D1. Like, Sam was just a freak athlete. We were doing kickoffs from one end line on a soccer field, and he was putting them over the crossbar of the other goal. And I remember being like, whoa, that is a long way. And I'm like, I'm going to hit the 18-yard box. And that's going to be my goal. And so, but Sam's an awesome dude. Chandler Catanzaro, big shout out to the Cat Man. Had a great career at Clemson, then went on to play a little bit in the NFL. Just what a stud. And a great human being, too. I hope Chandler's doing well. He's down in Charleston now. his family. So yeah, I got to kick with a couple guys that were just a blast and a good time.
Nice.
And I feel like a couple weeks ago, Christian and I both were a little bit harsh towards kickers when we were analyzing the draft.
You were.
And we are a high accountability podcast.
And I lit you up
So
on text.
I'm giving you the floor to light us up right now.
I believe my words were, have you ever heard of the concept of hidden yardage? Question mark, exclamation point. If you haven't heard of hidden yardage, it is my favorite football stat. So basically it's the plus minus of what yards you gain or lose based on special teams. So if you shank a punt out of bounds, what are the negative yards back off your net normally or your average?
Like
or
probably 50 yards if you shake it.
Right. So if you kick it to a guy, what is where he catches it, everything he runs up from there is a minus. Or if it rolls and it goes beyond him, that's a plus, right? And so your goal is to have the lowest number or closest to zero or a positive as possible. And if you look at what the Patriots did, because I guess that's who y'all were talking about, right? Is they took a punter and a kicker in the draft. That matters. And in a world where they are close, right? The Patriots are a team that they're darn close. If they can figure out what's going on with Mac Jones, then you're looking at hidden yardage as a main reason to take that next step. And if I'm going to give our boy Shane Beamer a little call out here.
Beamer ball.
Beamer ball is real. And if you need anywhere else to look, go look at University of South Carolina last year. Kai Kroger, the Kai Light Reel, the human Kai Light Reel has an incredible QBR as well. But yeah, no. So I loved special teams as a kid and I guess high school and then through college was a blast. Played for 2 years and then Joe and I share in common that we have a gnarly back injury. And that's what took me out of college sports. Doctor said
that's why we don't see Trey on Sundays.
That's exactly why you don't see me on Sundays.
That was my next question. Was why don't we see Trey on Sundays?
That's it. I have an L4, L5, S1, grade 2 Benjamin's down there. Downstairs, spondylolisthesis, which is basically a fracture of my vertebrae that I need to do more core workouts with James in order to get it right.
Who's
yeah, but no, it just
so my whole thing was like, and the reason I guess the kicker punter has a bad taste in my mouth was that guy from Florida or Florida State University who like was the top 100 pick in the draft and then was awful.
Yeah,
right?
Roberto Aguayo. He was nuts in college.
The toughest part though is like kicking is already like a mental, like it screws with you mentally, pressure wise, and like to be a high draft pick though, that puts some extra pressure. Like, hey, you're a kicker and you're drafted in the 3rd round, right? And so I don't know, man. Like mentally, that's tough. I feel like that's just tough for a kicker to overcome.
In 3rd rounds early, like let's be honest, like that is I'll be honest. Harrison Butker that kicks. Yeah. Let's talk about it, right? You're a Panthers fan. The Panthers drafted Harrison Butker like 5th round a couple years ago, and then cut him after
I was so pissed off. This is another reason, right? Was like we drafted a kicker, and then 2 years later he's not on the team, and I'm like,
what's the highest you think a kicker should go in the draft as a kicker?
If we're talking guys that are just like, okay, so I know this is a little controversial. The Matt Ariaza kid that got in a lot of trouble, he's been evidently cleared of charges recently, but he got drafted, I think, like 4th round last year or something like that. And this kid's stats from San Diego State, his punting stats were unreal, but I still think 4th round is absolute earliest, and you better be a cheat code for that hidden yardage conversation we were just having.
Yeah.
Which he is, which he legit is. And he's a triple threat. He does kickoffs, field goals, and punts. So like at that point, you're getting 3 for 1 basically, and this kid was elite, but he got into some legal troubles and it's messed him up. But the Bills took him a couple years last year.
Well, because the question then is, like I think this a lot with golfers, but with kickers, skill wise, what's the difference in like the top 5 to 5 to 20, like leg wise? Like, is it comparable in its mental stuff or?
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely a mental side of it. Absolutely. Right. So, I mean, but I do think there is a certain point, even in high school, when you know whether or not your physique, frankly, your build or your just natural athleticism is going to take over for you to kick. So, like Christian Catanzaro that I was talking about, or Chandler Catanzaro, sorry, played for Christ Church Episcopal School, who was our rival in high school. But Chandler and I would kick together from time to time, and I knew like Chandler's kicking 56 in high school.
That's good.
Like so him going to Clemson totally made sense. I knew at a certain point that, I think my long in high school was 48. Even 48 to 56 is 8 yards. But knowing you can get to 56 at 17 or 18 years old, it. It's an analytic that's very clear. Now, certainly if you get the yips or whatever you want to call it and you start shanking kicks all over the place, there's a mental battle there. You got to reset. You got to get your mind right. But I talk to people, it's a lot like hitting when you're playing golf. You're supposed to let the club do the work, right? Like you're supposed to know how your golf swing with your irons or your wedges and things like that are supposed to work. Kicking is no different. Mm-hmm. You should have pretty much the same swing every time you're kicking, especially field goals, kicking the ball. However, there is this natural desire to want to absolutely destroy the football. And so the guys that figure it out that you're hitting your pitching wedge with your right foot from 20 yards on a PAT the same way you're hitting your driver from 50, that's the difference between kickers. And that's the easy analogy for people to get.
But then like the tough part about it, I guess, because like I get what you're saying, that there are like the elite athletes that you see early on. Like that makes sense. But then of the teams, let's say the like shelf life of a kicker is like 10 years average. Sure. Longer, shorter, like you're not cycling through that many kickers. Mm-hmm. And then you get a ton of people who are that D1, good D1 level. Right. And you're getting essentially 2 from each school per like kicker. That's
right. And so to separate yourself is absolutely nuts. A lot of guys will get mini camp contracts to go in and just be a tryout guy or even be like a scout team guy. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
that's why it's hard though to say anything over a 4th round or under a 4th round.
Well,
right,
just
absolutely
like
right.
Difference.
There's a dime a dozen factor. Go ahead. No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Just like the difference and like skill level, like Joe's talking about, is probably just so small where it's like if you're 6'5", 330 and run a 4.5 40 as a defensive end, like
yeah, right.
That's pretty solid. Yeah. Right? Like
right. And so from the physical side of things, you look at guys like Justin Tucker, right? Yeah. That man is a physique, and he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and you just don't say that for kickers. Other than like Morton, Anderson, and Vinatieri. When y'all need to do a draft of clutchest athletes at some point. And so because I want to see where y'all take Vinatieri. We'll fight over that. But all I'll say is that I mean, there's a guy there's absolutely a level there that like but you look at this in any sport, right? Either you got the clutch gene or you don't. Yeah. And at a certain point, if you don't, it will wear you out.
And then the top level is the clutch gene and the talent gene.
That's right. Is just you have to combine it. You have to have the consistency.
And the work for the most part, like I feel like I keep ragging on him on the podcast, but like Jadeveon Clowney, it's like he's got it, but like look where he's ended up now because he doesn't quite put in the work. It's like you can't really pick off there.
Well, I tell people all the time that a closer in baseball is the best comparison to a kicker because you are called upon very infrequently, and when you go out there, you got to go do your job. Your job is very short-lived, but you better perform as you're supposed to. Yeah, go out there, do your job, and everybody knows what's coming. Yeah, like you're Mariano Rivera, you're throwing cutter. Like,
but you like miss on one pitch a lot of times. There ties the game.
That's right, and you see guys all the time. Like they got to rest or they get a phantom injury and they have to go down to AAA for a rehab start or whatever the heck it is. Well, kickers don't get that joy, right? I would love to have like a relegation league for kickers to be like, go get your head right and come on back.
Yeah,
but no, but a closer in baseball is easy.
Or you could throw 104 like Chapman.
Yeah, and Rafi Devers can just take a yard as a rookie.
Yeah.
Too soon? I'm always here for Rafi.
Oh, man. Yeah. We've talked about kickers, I think, enough on this episode that I feel like we can rag on them for the next month and a half, 2 months. We'll have you back on, defend their honor, and rag on them again.
Well, and I'll tell you guys this, we're fair game. And kickers agree with that. Like we joke all the time, we're a cult. So when you're doing eval camps and you're going to different schools doing trials and stuff, you know all the other guys that are there. Yeah. And you know who you're competing with. So there were certain guys that showed up and I was like, oh man. I was like,
Justin Tucker's here.
Yeah, right. So you show up and you're like, this is going to be a long day no matter how well I do. But I mean, kickers are fair game. They're absolutely fair game. They're part of the team. They deserve as much flack as a quarterback or a guy that drops a pass.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's also, I would want to be a punter over a kicker. I'm just getting that out there.
Meal ticket, future for
Yeah.
anybody listening with small children, the meal ticket,
Long snapper?
long snapper. Absolutely.
Really?
That is the play. Oh, yeah. If you are
Just
good.
keep your head down.
Yeah, that's right. Keep your head down. Shout out to Jack Dalton, who was my long snapper back in the day at North Greenville. That dude, I would buy him cheeseburgers and Gatorades if he'd flip a guy on PATs. So a guy tried to jump over him. At that point, it was still legal. It's a penalty now.
Yeah.
But Jack would just like flip a guy. And so the last thing I see is the ball's going through is some guy's legs up in the air. And Jack's turning around and giving me like a thumbs up.
You get 2 field goals through his legs
That's
and
right.
through
That's
uprights.
right. I want 6 points for that.
Oh, man.
That's great.
Yeah, kicker's a fair game.
From,
Here's the cheeseburger.
from the
That's right.
For the draft, though, like the actual draft, not our draft, were any teams that you felt like came out ahead on it?
On the special
I'm
teams
just
side
throwing
of
it,
it?
or no, just
In
anything.
general, I love what the Panthers did. I really do.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, I might be biased. So, long story short, that's where my Boston sports side ends because John Casey let me come and hang out with him at a mini
really?
camp. Yeah,
That's so
I got to go kick with John Casey in high school, and forever will be grateful for that opportunity.
That's so cool.
I asked him, I was like,
that's
hey,
cool.
so what's the biggest difference between kicking here and kicking in college? And he's like, I'm feeding my kids. And I was like, holy cow, I've never thought about it, but it's a job. He's like, every kick is to feed my children.
That's so cool.
So John Casey's a legend, obviously, and so he's my favorite Panther of all
Lefty,
time.
right?
Yeah,
Left-footed, yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. So yeah. So anyway, I think the Panthers really came out ahead. I'm really fascinated to see what the Falcons do because now I feel like they have a veteran quarterback. They need to figure out what they're doing. Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan. It just looks like he's got all the intangibles. So
Yeah.
I'm a little scared of Atlanta right now.
He does look like a
Yeah.
complete bag.
Yeah, we'll
I
see.
like the LT comparison for him, though.
Ooh, we'll see. Expound
see.
on that, sir.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Taken because what did he go overall officially? Was it
It was
8?
like 8th.
I think
Yeah,
that's right.
because
He had the
Carter
quarterback
dropped to
gone.
9th, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, traditionally, like if we're talking about needles here in the NFL draft, like that's why we don't take kickers in the second round because like the needle is so small, right? But like
Yeah,
I
right,
feel like
right,
it's,
right.
it's the same for running back. Like it's the exact
yeah.
same. Where it's like, yeah, you have special athletes like Saquon, or you have special like Derrick Henry, but like if you don't give them a line and you don't give them a good offensive scheme, like
Right.
there's nothing they can do.
When the Falcons abuse their running back, so I can get that. I can understand that. All right, so
So
who,
the
in
Panthers.
y'all's opinion, pick one pick of the entire draft that you thought was the perfect landing spot for that player?
Jalen Carter.
Why?
Gosh dang it, that's what I was gonna say. No, you took that from me.
Okay, take it. I'll come up with another one. Take it. It's yours.
Just because I'm a bandwagon Eagles fan, Jalen Carter. But like Jalen Carter is the definition of an Eagle. I was telling Joe that like after the NFL draft, like the Eagles, like they don't care what the players have done in the past. Like they just want athletes.
When they got chemistry now, they will
Yeah.
the Philadelphia Bulldogs, man.
Like you just bring someone into that team, and then is Sue coming back next year? Do we know? Is he done?
I don't know.
Done. But anyway, like Hassan Reddick, like there's just so many good building blocks around him. I think it's great for the Eagles, and then I think for his career, he's just gonna get like a launch, and then he's gonna be what stays on, whether he goes to another team or something afterwards. That's my personal preference or like personal thought on it. Another pick. Who would be yours? Come back to me.
Give me Anthony Richardson to the Colts.
I
Ooh,
like
I
that.
was
a lot.
I
gonna
love
ask,
it.
yeah.
So, locker room guy. Have y'all heard the story that like he was at like this rookie dinner? Have y'all heard about this?
No,
Oh,
I don't
This
know.
is awesome.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
he stayed behind because people made a mess, and he stayed behind and helped the staff clean up after this rookie dinner. Not like the team rookie dinner, like with all the other draft picks. Okay, so that's a character
Yeah.
move. All right, so you have to have, if you're going to have a field general who's going to step in and listen, whatever you want to say about his career at Florida, fine. But at the same time, that goes miles to being mentally sound in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so for him, hey, awesome. I think Anthony Richardson he can do whatever. He is going to be the reason he booms or busts. And that's, I think, an awesome situation for him.
And not being number one overall gives them like
pressure.
breathing room. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That was up there for me. Those are both
Yeah,
good ones.
we were talking about that, like being a like there's such a big difference mentally. I forgot what quarterback said it, but like it's such a big difference going in like the number one overall QB in that draft class or like the number four. Like the number four, it's like, yeah, if you're a bust, you don't work out. Like that sucks, but you don't have all that pressure of like a Bryce Young, right? Like if Bryce Young doesn't do well, and I'm a huge Panthers fan, so if Bryce Young doesn't do well, it's an awful pick. I hate the Panthers, but if he does great, that's a phenomenal pick.
That's right. So Christian, what do you think about like the Will Levis? What's your Will Levis analysis?
I think that's the best thing that could have happened to him. And the reason I say that, I said that earlier, and the reason I said that is like, you just take all of that pressure, because he played at Kentucky, right? He didn't play at like a big time SEC school, right? Like Kentucky's SEC, but they're not big time, right? Like, so for all that pressure to be like kind of like released and turn into like more of a chip on the shoulder, I think it's the best thing that could have ever happened to him.
Yeah. Well, and he has the physical tools. Like, I think the weirdest thing is people's like, well, he's kind of like Josh Allen. People weren't big on him coming into the draft, but he learned how to use his physical tools. And I'm like, that's a really steep comparison to be making.
Yeah.
But hey, more power to him.
Josh Allen was very inaccurate coming into his career.
Yeah, Will Levis just needs to stop putting mayo in his coffee.
That's disgusting. I hate mayo so much.
I
think.
Oh yeah.
Ew,
oh yeah. Don't do it. Don't Google it.
This will not be on the YouTube.
So it's not like butter. It's not like keto.
No,
I'm trying to change the subject fast. Mayonnaise makes me want to just yak all over the microphone right now.
Dude, I love mayonnaise.
I think though, if he can sit a year behind Tannehill,
with some mayo.
We're still talking about mayonnaise. It's disgusting.
What about aioli?
Oh.
None of that.
Give me the ravioli.
Oh man, I can't even finish my point now about him. No, I can.
I'm gonna finish eating jar of mayonnaise.
You want like a mayonnaise popsicle while you're at it?
I know where you got that from.
All right. So I think though that if Will Levis sits a year with Tannehill, there's like still like even less pressure. He gets to learn from a veteran. I think it could be good. Titans are going to be good this year.
Right.
They'll be rebuilding.
Right.
Could be interesting.
I think so,
I like that a lot. Another pick that I was torn thinking Quentin Johnson.
I took him in my dynasty draft.
Going to the Chargers. Mike Williams been like a little bit. Keenan Allen is getting old, injured a lot. Justin Herbert, he's going to be like getting him the ball. He's got a great frame. I think that's a really good draft pick.
Yeah.
I do too.
You do too?
Which is why I took him in my dynasty rookie
it's
draft.
A good move. I think it's a really good move.
Yeah, and
Should we do the Florida man?
Herbert's so close to being great.
Yeah, he is. He's on the cusp.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't ragged on Trevor Lawrence in a while. He gets so much more love than Justin Herbert.
It's the hair.
I mean,
Justin Herbert's is better. It has a little character to it.
Yeah, but also Trevor Lawrence was a higher draft pick.
Exactly. And I think that's the like biggest garbage of where draft picks are. You know what I mean?
Like one of the best college quarterbacks.
I'm with Christian here. I'm sorry. Even as a Carolina guy, like that is South Carolina. Listen, I get it.
Yeah.
Before somebody corrects me on that. But listen,
Carolina.
he was. Christian's exactly right.
He was.
Guy was a generational talent in high school. He
playing against other high schoolers in the ACC. Clip that.
Boom. But no, Christian's exactly right. Like, I mean, they were talking about, I remember when he lost his first game with the Jags, and they're like, this is the first game he's lost that he started since
he was like
his
14 years old.
Yeah. And then when
Dude's
they played
a
Saturday game and then he lost, that was like the first one since he was, I think, legitimately like 14.
Yeah. So, I mean, Trevor.
Yeah, but that's why. I mean, there's just so much hype around it. And he still has a lot of time. I'm like, I don't think he's played up to the hype, but he definitely hadn't played bad. Like he's had some bad throws and some bad decisions, but like every single
definitely hasn't played bad. I don't think I can get behind that.
But like comparative to the hype, like first of all, if he was a second round draft pick and he's playing the way he is, he's a genius, right? Like he's a great talent. But like the fact that he is such like has this hype, like I don't think he's played bad for like the hype that he's gotten, but he hadn't lived up to it yet. That's what I'm trying to say.
Maybe.
He's got like one wide receiver too in Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Like his
And who's the tight end?
Well, if Etienne stays healthy. Mercedes Lewis.
Etienne?
No, I'm kidding.
Is that
What's that?
Etienne? What's this?
Yeah.
Etienne.
Etienne.
They said it a lot on our
But,
TV when
he's
we were
fine.
at Carolina.
But like their tight end's good too. Anyway, I feel like we should jump into Florida, man. Let both of you go for it.
oh my.
Yeah. So right now, our record is 2-1, but I think you might be back. So we might as well get you a record going into this. So I've got one. I'm going to read it. Both of you vote. Christian, you can vote first.
Okay.
Then Trey, you can hedge.
All right, which format are we here? Or is this one is true,
One is true and one is false.
Just to be clear. All right.
Unless I want to get in your mind.
It's going to hurt.
All right. Story number 1. Everything just got quiet really quick. Story number 1. A Florida man was arrested after a wild chase involving not one, but 2 stolen police vehicles. It all began when the police responded to a disturbance at a motel when the man hopped into a police car and took off, prompting a pursuit. The stolen police vehicle was eventually forced off the road and crashed into the trees. But the man didn't give up. When officers tried to apprehend him, he made a daring escape by stealing another police vehicle and speeding down the highway. Police eventually were able to puncture the man's tires, forcing him to pull over on the median, where he was promptly taken into custody. Resilience. It's a buzzword.
I like
This
that.
man knows a lot about it.
It was like a movie.
Yeah. Story number 2. A Florida man's drug operation was busted when police boats arrived at the small island where he was loading a cargo. The police had already secured the man's boat, leaving him trapped. With the surge of adrenaline, he raced towards one of the police boats and took off in it. Police quickly pursued in the remaining boats. According to witnesses, the man managed to evade police pursuit for 15 minutes before losing control and running the vessel aground. Surrounded by officers, the man's bravado faded and he was handcuffed and taken into custody.
Yeah, I got this one. Story
I'm about to
two
say-
is Story 2 is false. Story 1's true.
I actually agree with that.
Dang, y'all are both right.
Let's go. Come on.
That's what I get for doing this last minute. No one's going to believe my stories. Yeah,
know
I
what?
didn't do
You know
that
what
one.
I knew
That
too?
was on me. I'm going to diminish y'all's win. That was on me.
Why?
You know what gave it? You know what got me there?
What got you?
You threw bravado in there. I was like,
I know big
that's
words.
a Joe word. That's a Joe word to be like, oh, bravado.
You'll
great
never
word.
see it
Yeah.
coming.
You know what got me there was Joe's at the beach, and that was a boat story.
I love it.
So I knew Joe. I knew he made that one up. I knew it couldn't be too much of a coincidence that he's at the
There's
beach.
literally a sailboat. There's literally a sailboat out here right now within
Yeah,
eyesight.
I mean,
Within it's the one I see. What leaves me a little bit confused with you in that reasoning is about every other time it's like it's so similar, so you wouldn't have done it, and then the other time it's so similar, so I know that you did that. But you're like
I'm telling you
right,
what,
like
man.
90% of the time. It makes no sense.
It
it's
is
just-
impressive. Listen, all I'm saying is I listen to y'all on the way to work most days. I got a nice little commute. And every now and then, like I'll play along, which I hope everybody's doing at this
Yes.
point, right?
Yeah,
Like
please,
that
please.
is such a great way to engage in this. And so when y'all are going through stories, either I'll pause it and think on it for a second or whatever. And I am normally with Joe where I'm just either wrong, unfortunately, or like just way off on my reasoning of why. And so it's weird being on the mic now that you go through it and I'm like, I am in complete agreement with Christian. Yes.
Yes. You're like, what is happening to me?
I'll tell you
Well,
what,
3
man,
to-
it's something that I just have this gut instinct when he reads the stories. I
I
can't
told him-
explain it.
I told him he needs to let Whitney, who we talked about earlier, Whitney's got a strong wit and literally, and I was like, you need to let Whitney write one because then it's like you're
Oh.
completely out of it.
That's true.
I probably do. Either way, you've got 3 dubs. You got 1 dub. I
Batting
only have
10,000.
1 dub. You are 1 for 1.
1 for 1. And in the
Iceman.
kicker world, that's
Used
great.
in a sentence well.
The kicker world, that is good.
Let's go.
You are 3 and 4.
Well
Not
done.
3 for 1.
3, 4, 4.
So the draft.
You got a little cold there for a bit, Christian. Glad to have you back in the W call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Well-
happens to the best of us. I get
Wait, I was
lucky
3 and
sometimes.
4?
Even a blind squirrel. 3 and 3, 4, 4, 3 and 1. I messed it up that time.
You did.
I did.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm
Yikes.
3 for 4.
I've given
I
you so
only
much-
missed one.
I've ragged on you a lot for that, and then I just messed it up.
750, still good.
Hand up.
Yeah.
All right, draft. So what we're doing here is it is a zombie apocalypse survival squad.
That's it.
So the way this is working,
Great.
these picks don't have to be in any order, but you get one superhero. So you can't like stack your team with superheroes. You get one government agent. So just think like the classic. I'll give one
Spy
away.
thriller kind of
Jack Bauer,
Yeah.
for instance. All right. And then you get one athlete and then one wild card.
Yeah.
I'm gonna destroy
Wild
it.
card is open, but you, with great responsibility,
With great power
or with
comes
great
great-
power comes
Yeah.
great responsibility. You got to get creative with, is what we're saying to that.
Joe's taking Uncle Ben from Spider-Man with his wild card.
Yeah.
I'm
love it.
feeling
Love it.
really confident.
Love it.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's great that you're confident. You get the second pick. Trey gets first as our honored guest.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Then I get third. So
All right. So out
boom.
the gate, I'm gonna do something a little probably not expected. I'm gonna take my athlete first, and this is because I know you know of this person as an option, and I would think Christian does as well. Give me Chipper Jones at the athlete one, because that man. Have you heard the story of him and Freddie Freeman?
no.
There was a snowpocalypse in Atlanta. All right, Freddie, everybody loves him. We don't have to talk about it, Braves fans. We don't have to talk about it.
Heartbroken, but go on.
He gets stranded in his car in traffic. Chipper Jones grabs his four-wheeler and drives out there and gets Freddie Freeman out of his car and drives him back to his house. He also just like loves the outdoors, big outdoorsman. Give me Chipper
Yeah,
Jones. at
That's
the
an
1-1.
angle that I did not think about for athlete, if I'm being honest. I was straight up
Yeah.
athleticism.
Yeah. So
What
for
you got?
me, I'm gonna go superhero first, right?
Okay.
And someone had to say it because this is the easiest pick. It's Spider-Man. I mean, it by far is the best pick.
Interest, not what I thought
yeah.
was.
Mm-mm.
And
Not who I
the
was-
reason
not who I
is,
was-
my guy can get away in any instance ever. It doesn't matter where he is. He's there. He's gone. He's already gone.
You know who can get away,
That's smart.
but easier? Iron Man. He just goes off
that
into
who you
orbit.
take?
Yeah, Iron Man's my pick.
Ooh, so right on back-to-back super.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we snake this, or am I up now?
You're up now. No snake.
Ooh. At the government agent pick, give me James Bond.
No, I was torn about that. That's who I had, and I was like, do I go James Bond now or do I take Iron Man? Stupid idiot. Stupid idiot. 007 should have been mine.
I tell you what, man. For me, it was a movie I just watched. My government agent's Mike Bannon, and Angel Has Fallen, and then London Has Fallen.
Good pick.
Good pick.
He's
That's
such a G.
quality. Man pulls it out.
I really goofed. I didn't think James Bond would. I didn't think you were going James Bond.
There's an obvious one here for government agent, but I'm not going to say it because I might take it as my wild card.
An obvious one. Is it Jason Bourne?
It might be.
Yeah, that's who I'm going.
Ah,
I should have. I didn't set up any of my picks. Pick number 2, Jason Bourne. There you go.
I respect it. All right. So come back to
All
me.
right.
So with my superhero pick, I'm struggling. I really am. But I think where I end up is Doctor Strange. Give me Doctor Strange.
Ooh.
The Mystic Arts, the ring thingy. You got teleportation there. He can go from spot to
The
spot as he
ring
needs
thing.
to. He can just mess with people's minds. And so I'm going to say that Doctor Strange is incredibly useful during the
That's
zombie
pretty good.
apocalypse.
I'm just
the foresight.
I'm assuming that with Tony Stark, I get all of his monetary backing. And so all of my characters just get Iron Man suits.
And engineering skills. Dude built the first Iron Man suit
Yeah.
in a cave.
He got the Avengers together. So
That's right.
anyway, what you got, Sea Doggy Dog?
My athlete is just, I imagine in an apocalypse, it's hot, right? It's a hot environment. There's a lot of close calls. So my athlete is Joe Burr. I mean, if anyone can pick apart an apocalypse, it's Joe Burrow.
He can also just sling a football through some heads.
He's just throwing grenades everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, for mine, this pick makes no sense for me,
All right.
but I think I need Yoda.
Oh, you're taking your wild card.
I need my wild card as Yoda, the wise leader of us.
Boom.
The wisdom?
Wow, that's a good pick, Joe.
I'm not a crazy Star Wars person. That's why I'm like, it's surprising for me.
That
but
is.
I like it.
Yeah. Great pick that is.
Thank you.
I like that. And so I guess coming back around to my wild card.
Yep.
Thinking in the same vein here, give me Gandalf.
Ooh, that would have made a lot more sense for me.
Gandalf the White, to be clear.
Yeah, we're not doing Gandalf the Gray.
But he did slay a Balrog. I'd get real geeky real fast, but yeah, I'm just saying.
Dang.
Gandalf.
Were you thinking that before I went Yoda?
Yes, I was.
Okay. That makes me feel better. I should have done him. Anyway, I didn't.
But you can't.
But I can't. But I didn't. Okay. What you got, Sea Doggy Dog?
My last pick.
Your
right?
wild card?
Last
Yeah, your
pick.
wild card.
It is a wild card, and it's going to be wild. It's going to be Mr. Incredible from the Incredibles.
Whoa. Yeah.
And I mean, with his superhuman strength, with Spider-Man's Spidey powers, Joe Burrow and Mike Bannon, we're surviving whatever the world throws at us.
That's fair. You're going to be okay.
I like that. So rounding out, finishing the draft, my athlete, I'm going off sheer athletic ability because it's borderline superhuman. DK Metcalf.
Oh.
Like if anyone could defeat zombies just off of pure athleticism, it's DK Metcalf.
I can see this. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. And once again, talking about Christian's point of getaway speed. Woo-hoo.
He might beat Dash in a race.
Yeah, he's
Will
fast.
be Dasher.
Will.
I love it.
Oh, well, this is fun. Thanks for joining us,
Guys,
Iceman.
this is a blast. Thanks so much for having me.
We'll have you on again for
Christian,
sure.
I know you've called me out to come to Richmond. I need to do it soon.
Yes.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You need to, man.
Let's do it.
You need to. Would love it. You hopped on the mic, and I was like, is Joe planning on recording?
Yeah,
It's just a cardboard cutout.
Should have panned the camera over a little bit more. I was
Kickers
like,
are
tell you,
people.
this is
Kickers are
perfect.
people.
Specialist lives matter. That's all I'm saying.
Peace.
Peace out.